I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much. And as you were told, for the past 18 years, I've been a prosecutor in Hillsborough County. For the past 6 or 7 years, I've been a part-time legal expert for Fox News in New York. I used to get to say that I talked about brilliant legal matters all over the country with Fox. However, a couple weeks ago, Hannity and I talked about Al Gore and the massage therapist. So I can no longer say that I talk about brilliant legal issues, unfortunately. But I have spent my entire career at the state attorney's office. As Cindy told you, I grew up in Tampa. I come from a long line of educators, both my grandparents, both my parents. My sister was one of the youngest principals in Hillsborough County, all my great aunts and uncles. I'm very proud of that. I went to University of Florida, Stetson College of Law. I interned at the state attorney's office while still in law school. The Supreme Court certifies you. I had 4 jury trials and never wanted to go anywhere else while I was still in law school. I worked my way up through the state attorney's office. I have tried every kind of case you'll hear the Attorney General talk about. Gang-related cases, I've tried them. I've been out in the middle of the night to gang-related shootings. I've helped shut them down. You'll hear people talk about pill mills. I've handled them. You'll hear people talk about identity theft. I've handled those cases. Cases involving fraud against the elderly, cyber crimes, crimes against our children. And more recently, for the last 15, 16 years, I've prosecuted first-degree murders and capital cases. I'm proud to say I have 2 people on Florida's death row, and all their appeals have been affirmed. And they deserve to be there. I have spent my entire career in the state attorney's office. You may find fault with the fact that I have never run for office, and really the only time I've been in Tallahassee, other than to see the Gators play the Seminoles, is to handle parole hearings. I've handled many parole hearings for years and years to keep in prison serial killers and convicted rapists. And part of the cabinet, you're on the Court of Clemency. And that's something that I'm very, very familiar with in my career. Also, the appellate division of the Attorney General's office. What people don't understand, the police can arrest someone, I can lock them up, but it's the Attorney General's office who keeps them there. And I've worked hand in hand with the Attorney General's office on my murder appeals, because I believe as the attorney who tried the case, it's important to be there in court and argue those in court with the actual appellate lawyer. So that office has many, many important functions. As a member of the cabinet, the SBA, of course, the State Board of Administration, your pension funds, $138.6 billion. It's the 4th largest pension fund in the country. And I will be a good steward of your money, and I will be a watchdog for your money. There are many, many areas of the cabinet and of that office that are so very, very important. And again, for practicing law for 20 years, I can tell you this healthcare, I can't believe we have to call it law, this Obama law is the most expansive, divisive entitlement program ever produced in our nation. It ignores decades of legal precedent. Decades. Decades. And I love now that they're saying, it's not a tax, it's not a tax, it's not a tax. And did you see the president all over national TV saying it's not a tax? Well, now they know their argument isn't going to hold water, so now all of a sudden it becomes a tax. So they think they can regulate us under the Commerce Clause. Well, I intend to fight that all the way to the Supreme Court. I take on murderers, and I would be proud to take on the federal government on behalf of in Washington now that we have a liberal president and a liberal speaker. Their spending is out of control, our spiraling debt is out of control, and Obama and Pelosi are out of control. We have to show them here in Florida, if we have my way, your way, we are going to take our state back. I do not plan on being a figurehead as Attorney General. I plan on fighting this health care lawsuit. I plan on fighting for our 10th Amendment rights. The EPA is coming in and trying to regulate our farmers, our landowners, and there are so very many important issues, and your Attorney General is going to have to hit the ground running. This is no place for on-the-job training. No place. and I have spent my career in a courtroom. I have also managed the office, as I told you, for over a decade. As to the Arizona law, Governor Jan Brewer begged for help from the federal government, begged. And what they did was they placed climate control on their agenda over border control. And that was absolutely outrageous. And that's where we should have had the help from the federal government. I read the Arizona law, unlike our United States Attorney General. Don't get me going on Holder. But I read our health care. I read the Arizona law, and I will tell you, it is constitutional. It has safeguards against pretext stops. And I know there are representatives here in Florida who are planning on passing a similar law here in Florida. And as Attorney General, I know I'm not a lawmaker. I've never been a lawmaker. But as Attorney General and as your Chief Legal Officer, I would want to review the law. I would want to support the law, hoping it has the proper safeguards for pretext stops. Because I can tell you, we are made up of a country of great, great immigrants. But immigrants who came here legally. And the worst thing we can do, though, is commit racial profiling. I have seen the devastating effects of racial profiling in my career as a prosecutor. And therefore, it's very important that that law is properly applied, properly carried out, because the first time there's a problem with it, it's going to be all over national news. So I can tell you, I have friends who are with ATF in Mexico, and they ride around in armored tanks, because it is a war zone there, and that is flooding over into our country. These aren't the good Mexican citizens trying to come here for a better life. These are the drug dealers, these are the arms dealers who are trying to sell drugs to our kids. I could go on forever about the devastating effects of what's happening in Mexico and how it's affecting our country. But I am committed to fighting that as your Attorney General as well. I am a conservative. I believe that government does not have to be bigger to be better. Quite the contrary. My political heroes, Jeb Bush and Ronald Reagan. My personal heroes are my amazing family. And I'm so blessed to come from a long line of educators. I will apply my conservative principles and values to all that I do in the cabinet. And I will focus on the economy, because when we're not working, not much else works either. And I will tell you, seeing this great crowd here tonight and seeing, over a year ago, I would have told you there was no way I would be standing up here doing this. But times are so important now. And our country is going in such a direction. And my agenda, I have no agenda other than to be the best Attorney General, if you'll have me, for the next 8 years. I do not see this as a stepping stone. I am not running for governor. I am not going to run for Congress. I do not want to be a senator. I only want to be the best Attorney General I can be for you for 8 years if you'll have me. And that is the only reason that I am running for office. Because looking out in this great, great crowd today, it's clear that we are not the party of Obama and Pelosi. We are the party of Lincoln and Reagan. And with all these great people here today, we're acting like it. Thank you very, very much for having me. General, I will fight for you, I will stand for you, and I will stand with you. We have plenty of campaign material in the back of the room, and I would be honored if you would take a bumper sticker or take our brochures and our website and learn so much more about our campaign. So I'm sorry to have spoken so long. Thank you very much for having me.